Welcome into the Orlando Nation pregame show. Bret, Beherns, and Jeremy Werner here pinching for Derek Piper. Derek, congrats. Him and his wife, Haley, their second child, born Friday or Saturday?
I believe Friday night, Saturday morning.
Okay,
I didn't get a lot of details. I just got a beautiful picture of his baby girl. So he's now girl dad along with us.
There you go. Yep.
Congratulations to the Pipers. Cade now, big brother. Happy for those guys. But I'll pinch that down. That is not Derek Piper in front of you. A little less hair, but hopefully it's good analysis.
Hey, it's better for me because we're like the same height. Usually I'm like looking up to Derek, and how that works. Baby Nelly, all healthy, all good. His wife Haley healthy, all good. Derek, enjoy watching this one from home as we get set for Illinois and Nebraska. 5:30 tip here tonight on Big Ten Network. And Jeremy, let's start with this whole picture. Illinois enters February here with a Big Ten title chase after Wisconsin loses today. I was trying to decide, like, if you're an Illini fan looking at that game, do you want Purdue to win? Do you want Wisconsin to win? They could just be, a game and a half back after today, game back. You feel pretty good about that if you're an Illini fan.
Yeah, and most importantly, they're playing pretty well, right? I mean, ever since Terrence Shannon's come back, it hasn't been the prettiest, but they've won most of their games so far, outside of what was an epic performance by both teams up in Evanston with Northwestern, needing a phenomenal game to beat Illinois, which I didn't think played their best. So it's still a good team, but we saw Terrence Shannon kind of break out of that rust a little bit in the second half of last game, and you really start to see what that means for this team, that they can elevate to another level. So to be honest with you, you think of the last month, you lose Terrence Shannon. You're a pretty good team without him.
Yeah.
Terrence Shannon comes back, you only lost one game. So all that you went through in January, there's so many potholes. If this team could have fell behind and not had a chance in the Big Ten race, I think it's going to be tough to catch Purdue. I think they're a great team. I don't think they're going to lose at home. But Illinois set themselves up with a chance to at least make it interesting and give those teams a push. And hey, if they win tonight against a Nebraska team that's not yet won on the road this season, all of a sudden they're tied for second place with Wisconsin. Which you're talking about NCAA tournament seeding, you have to get ahead of the Badgers.
Yeah, I think, at least in my view, you feel like Purdue's maybe in a different class. You get Purdue here, which I think helps, right? You got another chance, and maybe it does come down to that, that final week in the season. You get Wisconsin twice. If you can go beat them in Madison, you feel really good about it. You get them at home as well. They're in contention, right? Like, we've been saying this for a couple of years now. We've covered a lot of teams that were not in contention, and we've also covered a lot of teams that would not have been able to get through those potholes that you mentioned of the last 10 games.
Last year's team.
No chance.
But I mean, think about it. We came into January wondering if Terrence Shannon was going to be on this team, whether this team at some point would be like, are they going to make an NCAA tournament? That is not a question going into February, right? So I think that's kudos to this team, kudos to getting Terrence Shannon back. But you mentioned, like, you see in Michigan, which 3 years ago was the king of the Big Ten. Ohio State. Holtman was hired the same year as Brad Underwood. Every year, just you zoom out, Brad Underwood has his team in Big Ten contention every year. And I know the NCAA tournament success has to come. I know the but in that sentence. But to get a good seed, to do all those things, you have to win in the Big Ten. And Brad Underwood's teams continue to do that. And they continue to be in the discussion for a Big Ten title every season. Given where they were 5 years ago, I think we should zoom out. Man, he's done a pretty good job.
Right, okay, so I was trying to put this in the perspective too. This will be 4 straight years if Illinois can get to that double bye. Is that right? 2020 they had it, right, but they didn't play. Right? And so it's like that's the next level of elevation that this team has. And that includes beating a Nebraska team that is straight up not good on the road. 0-5 in Big Ten play coming into this one.
I guess last year they didn't get the double bye. So they played Penn State 6-11 game.
Okay, yeah.
But other than that, they've been that top 4.
You are right on that Thursday. So this will be, if they are able to get it this year, 3 out of 4.
Yep. Yeah, no question right now. But this is a top 4 Big Ten team. That looks plenty ahead, right? You got to win at home tonight. You got to take care of your home court. You got to go on the road. Big road game this weekend at Michigan State. But this looks like a top 4 team in the Big Ten when you look at the rest of the league. Given that they've won 3 road games, they've protected home court, all but Maryland. This team just looks like, on paper and what we've seen so far, like a double bye team.
And that separation between like the top level of Big Ten teams, that mid-tier is kind of murky. We'll see how that may be the bigger question if Purdue starts to pull away here. Is where does that mid-level Big Ten team kind of shake out? and then the bat is just not very good. And so Illinois is up there for sure. But to be a top 4 Big Ten team, you got to beat a team like Nebraska at home. They are coming off a high, though. They have more top 10 wins in Illinois this year. It's pretty crazy.
They're Kingslayers at home.
Yeah.
They're 6-0 in the Big Ten at home with wins over Michigan State, Purdue, and now Wisconsin. Right? Wisconsin's now lost back-to-back. They're falling in the Big Ten race right back to Illinois right now. But on the road, they have not been a good team. They've been a bottom Big Ten team on the road, losing their road games by an average of 14.5 points per game. So, for Illinois, you want to keep it that way. You have one game against Nebraska this year, and it's here. But they are a dangerous offensive team. Last year at this time, we were one of the first was on the hot seat. Since then, since February 1st of last year, they're 22-9. 22-9 overall and 12-8 in the Big Ten. So they played like an upper half Big Ten team for the last calendar year. Bret did a great job in the transfer portal, getting good pass from Bradley. Missouri Valley's really supplying some Big Ten teams and good players. Marcus Damask, Lance Jones at Purdue. But Bryce Williams at Charlotte's been really good. They have 2 sharpshooters, Bret, that can go off at any moment. You know how much I love Casey Tominaga, one of the most fun players to watch in the country. But CJ Wilcher has been on a heater of all heaters. 13 of 20 from 3 over his last 3 games. So this team can get red hot from 3.
CJ's the reason they won. Was it Wednesday night?
Yep,
I believe it was. And taking down Wisconsin. Played 20-plus points there. Casey did not have a good night. And I'm equally with you. I love the kind of joy that Casey plays with. He's always got a big smile. He's got the headband. He's chucking a bunch of threes. Like I just love that about him. And he just seems to have a lot of fun on the court. And he's really good. Right? Yeah, like he has the game to go with it. But he had an off night. How do you expect this CJ Wilcher matchup to go with defensively for the Illini?
Well, they really play. Like they really play together. Wilcher and Tominaga both poor defensively. So rarely see them play together. So if Tominaga starts the game out, he's the starter. He'll probably stay in for a while. If he struggles, Wilcher will come in. So they kind of rotate those guys out. But you got to run those shooters off the 3-point line. This is what Nebraska does. They're a great 3-point shooting team. They shoot a bunch of threes. They don't shoot a lot at the rim. But that means you got to chase them. But what does Illinois do defensively? Their whole goal is to limit 3-point attempts, force tough twos, force you to the rim where you have all that help. That will be tested today. So all these guards, Ty Rogers, Terrence Shannon, Justin Horman, you got to be locked in for full possession. You got to chase these guys. That can get really difficult. And to keep locked in that entire time, you got to chase those guys. Get them up the 3-point line. Because they're smaller in the backcourt. Illinois is a bigger, more physical, more athletic team. But you can't let them get open looks.
So maybe more than matchups, Jeremy, it's just can you trail guys? Can you follow them? Can you chase them off the line? It doesn't really matter who's guarding who as long as you can limit their threes, or maybe just make it tough to shoot threes on the road. The differential not as good.
You got to get through screens. And that has been a problem for this team, right? I mean, we think of Northwestern, some of these teams that got hot from 3. Ty Rogers, a big body, he's kind of struggled to fight through screens at times. Terrence Shannon's a big body. It takes a lot of effort for some of those guys to run around, chase those little guys all day. So that's going to be important. The other thing is, if they do switch, which allows you to stay on top of guys, you better communicate. We've seen their communication defensively slump a little bit in the last week. I thought they locked in a little bit more in the last game, but you got to be able to communicate. You can't bust things and get these guys open looks to get them confident.
Well, we saw that in Northwestern, too. Switching did not work well at all, and they paid a little bit of a price for that. And Brad staying with that, switching a little bit too long in that. Do you feel like this defense is taking those steps, right? Because they got a lot worse when Terrence was not here. How do they get back to where they were at pre-Terrence's suspension?
I think it's Terrence continuing to lock in defensively. I thought he struggled in the first half against Ohio State as well, but that second half, Terrence was phenomenal on Bruce Thornton. He needs to bring that. Like, I get it. You're trying to shake off Rush. You're worried about scoring. You're worried about being an All-American. This team can score. Scoring points is not going to be a problem. Shouldn't be a problem tonight. They get to the free throw line. They get good looks. They're a pretty good 3-point shooting team. They need Terrence Shannon to defend and get out in transition. Because Terrence getting those easy buckets can really take that offense to even another level, even though they're number 5 in the country right now in offensive efficiency. But when he's locked in defensively, he can be a shutdown guy. That's going to be his meal ticket in the NBA, right? Does this guy defend consistently? And I think he got that fight back a little bit against Ohio State. And then you see Quincy Guerrier locked in a little bit. I thought he's really playing a little soft the last couple games, to be honest with you. Brad Underwood kind of mentioned that the other day. He has not rebounded all that well. So I think being physical, this is a Nebraska team that is not as big, not as athletic as you. So Illinois should own the glass. You got to limit their possessions. Nebraska's one of the worst rebounding teams in the Big Ten. Illinois is one of the best. I can also have to get second chance points, which Illinois leads in the Big Ten. So I think you just got to be focused and physical today. If you are, I think Illinois gets out of the Big Ten.
You mentioned Quincy. After you had like a 5 or 6 game stretch there, where he was getting double-digit rebounds, and maybe that's not fair to expect 15 rebounds a game every game, but it's like that's really fallen off, and you've seen that didn't hurt you at Ohio State, right? The Coleman Tech didn't hurt you at Ohio State. They're not very good, but those kind of things, it's like hey, you got to have a little bit more consistency effort there with Quincy, and then with Coleman, for me, it's like, man, I feel like that Tech was coming a little bit. He's in his, like, it feels like he's just so emotional. That's like sophomore Coleman or junior Coleman a little bit. We haven't seen that as much. I think that's a little bit progress for how much his game mentally has evolved. I don't know where that balance is, though, with Coleman to be like, hey, dude, it's okay to play with pressure. Everything's not a foul, okay, right? Like, that's how he kind of feels. At least that's how I view it from him. And it's like, you got to just play with that middle ground scenario.
He's an emotional guy. And sometimes that's not a bad thing, right? Like, as long as you control it and you don't have, I think he's getting kind of the reputation as a whiner now. So you got to understand that. You got to understand, I can't do these histrionics. If I do, don't do it in front of your official.
Yeah, well, yeah, right? No doubt.
So he's got to learn. Seniors can't have those technicals. You could have turned the game. He's still a good basketball player. He's had a really good year. He's been great ever since Terrence went out. I'm not as concerned about him. Quincy, though, I think I get that fight back, man. Like, and the one thing I love, Brad Underwood held him accountable, put him on the bench.
Yeah.
Dane Danger comes in, has a good game. Luke Cookie comes in, plays big minutes. Ty Rogers, who was unbelievably a beast on the boards the other day, he played more than some of the four. I think that's great. And Brad Underwood saying, you're a senior, an all Big Ten caliber player, and I'm going to put you right on the bench for a little bit. So I think that's really good. We'll see how he responds to that. I think Brad's been on him the last week.
Yeah, and I think that only helped, right? Like, Dane comes in and plays well, you know, scores 7 points in 11 minutes. And, like, you can tell after the game in Columbus, like, he was like, okay, yeah, like, this clicked a little bit. Can he defend, though? That's my question with Dane.
Big question. That a lot of fans don't want to talk about. Like, listen, I know on Dane's behalf, he's a player that needs to play 15 to 20 minutes to really be himself, right? To get that offensive rhythm, to be that offensive player at the rim. But what I love is he brought intensity and physicality at the rim. Really got some good rebounds. I thought he played a little bit better defensively, but they're not nearly as good defensively. When Dane Danger's on the court, and to be honest with you, what they do offensively becomes a lot harder when Dane Danger's on the court because Marcus Lamass can't play booty ball because there's another guy standing in the lane because they don't have to go with the Danger. So those are the things that why Coleman often so important, like Quincy getting in is so important, why Dane Danger hasn't played a ton of minutes this year.
All right, any other Nebraska players you're looking at that you're saying, hey, look, we know Casey, we know CJ had it coming off a big game. Sam Hoiberg, I thought, played pretty well overall this year off the bench. They seem to really mesh when he's in the game. Who else are you looking at tonight?
Ring Bass is the big one. Bradley transfer, really skilled post, can stretch the floor, can shoot the three really well, but also can operate the post. So I think Illinois is going to go one-on-one with Coleman on him. But we've seen Illinois giving them a lot of post touches. But you'd rather throw up those than some of the threes that they could get. The other guy to watch, Juwan Gary, missed more than a month with an injury. He came back against Wisconsin. He's by far their best defender. He can hit the three, he can attack the rim. He's kind of a bigger version of Devontae Williams a little bit. But he's kind of gives them a defensive boost. And it's something this Nebraska team needs because they are not a good defensive team without him.
All right, do you do 3 keys and a pick?
I did.
Is that the first one for you?
First basketball.
Wow.
3 keys and a pick.
Look at this. All right. So, what do we got in there? How are you seeing this one play out?
Yeah, I think they need to own the glass. We talked about that. They need to smother the shooters. That's the other thing. I think Illinois needs to be able to take open shots. Nebraska is going to sell out at the rim. We're going to collapse on Terrence and we're going to collapse on Marcus Lamass. So Cincinnati and Luke Good, Coleman Hawkins, the open threes, Marcus Nebraska's open threes. You don't want to see these guys take good direct shots. You could shoot 30 tonight, and I'd be okay with it because you could get 30 open threes. Like, run exactly at the same time, go on a 7, and you could get some really good looks. So I want to see you do that. But I like Illinois. Nebraska's been terrible on the road.
Yeah.
Illinois has been really good at home. They got it locked in defensively. Nebraska and scary without a shooter. I think Illinois is focused and physical. I have them winning 81-70.
Okay, so you're covering the 9.5 there. That's where Vegas sees this one playing at. I think Illinois shooting those threes at home, I think they're going to get a little more comfortable in that. I agree this could be a high volume pregame for the Illini. I'm going to say 84-70. I'm going to say 14.
I thought Nebraska beating Wisconsin was probably the best thing
for Illinois. Right, yeah.
Because one, they went to overtime, and Nebraska's tired. Illinois had 2 extra days of rest. And 2, you're not overlooking Nebraska. Right? I mean, look what these guys have done. But Nebraska needs to prove that they can do it on the road. They didn't spend a That's why I think it's important for Illinois to start off well. Simply do. I think Nebraska can lose confidence, and this crowd can get on top of it.
Yeah, such a high on Wednesday for Nebraska. Then to come here, I think that first 5-6 minutes of the game would be really key for Illinois if you can come out, play well, not let them get some momentum and start feeling themselves after that big top 6 win, right? That Wisconsin ranked 6, so we'll see how that plays out. All right, guys.
But Nebraska, if they win this game,
oh, they're feeling great.
They're going to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
no
they got to win a couple more games, but they should do that. They still got a lot to play for in this game. I mean, Illinois, you're talking about seeding, all those things. Nebraska wins this game. They have something like 4 quad one wins at that point.
Yeah.
That'd be hard to knock
On
off.
paper, they got more than Illinois. I think they have 3 now. I think it's the same as Illinois. But they got more top in there with 2 top 10 wins. So I think they're feeling really, really good about that. And I agree. So, like, Nebraska got something to play with. Illinois has won 7 straight in this series, though. And they've owned Nebraska. So we'll see how that comes out tonight. We'll have the post-game press conference coming up on these same digital channels after the game. I know you got Joey here, too, right?
Yeah, we want plenty of grades. We have post-game podcast, all of that. So check us out on Uncle.
All right, we'll look forward to that. 5:30 tip on Big Ten Network. Hey, thanks for pinch hitting.
Appreciate it.
We'll do it again here in the next month as Derek looks to get back and enjoy the time off, Derek. Like, enjoy Nelly, enjoy Cade, enjoy Haley, the time there just to watch at home, right? It's got to be a little difficult, I'm sure, but those baby snuggles make it all worth it. All right, for Jeremy, I'm Bret. Thanks so much for watching. 5:30 tip on Big Ten Network.